Bad, bad and bad. This was Brazil's first game in the Copa America. I expected much more. Okay, a weak opponent, a Brazilian team that is far from being the best, but against Costa Rica they should have won by at least 2 or 3 goals. Let's talk about this game here, guys. The thing is this, today the rivals team came with fear, and Dorival is now starting to be questioned a little. I'm going to talk a little about him, but here we already have confirmation of Alisson's starting position. There was a question about Bento or not. Rafael is far from the fight. Rafael, Sao Paulo goalkeeper who is in the national team, but no one expected him. As for Bento, I thought there was a possibility, but it didn't happen. It was Alisson, and today was the game where it could have been me in goal and it wouldn't have made any difference, as the score wouldn't change anything. Especially because Alisson basically didn't make a single save. In addition, we have Marquinhos and Militao. Militao replaced Beraldo, who is good, promising, and probably the future of the Brazilian team, but who is currently playing poorly. Militao, who is returning from a long injury, took his place. Danilo and Arana on the sides. On the left flank, Arana won the spot during the final stretch, a spot that belonged to Wendell, who is also no great with the ball. Today, Arana didn't play a good game. I didn't really like his performance. And you? What did you think? Did you like Arana's performance?
Furthermore, we have Bruno Guimarães, Lucas Paquetá, João Gomes.
We don't have Endrick in this attack, and I'll tell you what I think about that. But if you want a spoiler, I'd like to see Endrick. Anyway, guys, how does this game start? It starts with Brazil having a chance with Rodrigo, who passes in front, gets in the face, shoots, and the ball scrapes by. Speaking of Rodrigo, he was one of the best again. Vinicius Jr. went unnoticed, and then it's more of the same. Vinicius doesn't play well in the national team, but Rodrigo does. I confess that I was almost certain that he was the best in Brazil, which is difficult to say because Brazil didn't play a good game. Paqueta grew in the end. It started very badly, very low, and grew. I'm in doubt between Rodrigo and Paqueta about who was the best, remembering that no one did too well in this match. If someone had been very good, we would have won. Furthermore, we had a chance in which Vinicius Jr. passed to Paqueta, who shot first time. A completely bad shot. Paqueta started the game very badly, completely lost, making more mistakes than anything else. Here I think the issue of betting may be weighing up. For those who don't know, Paqueta is at risk of being permanently banned from football, and we don't know to what extent this affects a player's psychology or not. He could be banned from his profession, which is a dream for anyone. Paqueta may be feeling the weight of this. I think Paqueta is good. I don't know if he's a star, but he's a good player. We don't have many players who play in his role today. Maybe when Neymar returns, we can take him out of the attack and put him more in the middle, and he could fight for the starting spot with Paqueta. I think Neymar would win, but today we have Paqueta. He is a player who can sometimes find good moves and make beautiful moves, but today he started badly and has been playing poorly in the last few games. As I said, the psychology may be taking its toll. Continuing, we had Brazil's goal, which Rafinha takes, Rodrigo deflects, and Marquinhos scores, but the referee cancels it for offside. This judge didn't see several penalties, he didn't see some fouls, and I agree with him. I think the penalties really weren't there. There was one at the beginning of the game where the opponent threw a shoulder at Vinicius and he fell. I keep thinking that Vinicius would hardly play like that at Real Madrid. I don't know what happens, it's another player. Then he complained about a kick to the hand, but the ball hit the arm glued to the body. Brazil was complaining too much without having anything very clear. When there's a move that the judge clearly made a mistake, it's okay to complain. But there was nothing like that. There was a lack of shame on the face and playing the ball, as the team is much better. In the broadcast, they said that a player from Brazil might pay all the players on the Costa Rica team. So, there was an obligation to win. Stop complaining and win the game. Here is also a criticism of Dorival. The players on the field and Dorival were complaining off it, but even if you agree that some move was a penalty, it wasn't anything obvious. There was no need to call responsibility. When it comes to offside, there is very little in front. Brazil scores a goal, but it doesn't count, and the first half ends against the very weak Costa Rica, the weakest team in the group, and Brazil can't win. I think it's wrong. Why did you enter the game scared? I think Brazil could have used Endrick at the beginning, But Dorival probably thought they would have to discard Rafinha because you play Rodrigo on the right and put Endrick in the middle. Rafinha, if you don't like him, I do. He contributes defensively, he will never be the protagonist, but he always helps. Today I didn't need help. Against Costa Rica, you go there and win, do the basics. So much so that I didn't need a player who knows how to return well. There was no promising attack from Costa Rica, they didn't shoot on goal. But Endrick isn't 100% ready yet, but it's a game against Costa Rica. I would understand Endrick on the bench in this more moderate team, without so much aggression, if it were against Colombia, Uruguay, Argentina, but it was Costa Rica. The fact that it was against Costa Rica was for them to try, go after the victory, play lightly. It was not allowed. Brazil was a bit fearful and drew with the weakest team in the group. The next game is against Paraguay, which is already more boring, and then against Colombia, which is even more difficult. Brazil is at risk of being eliminated in the group stage. Of course, I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it was mainly because of today's game, which was afraid of an extremely weak team. I don't know what will happen to the rest of the rivals' team in this Copa America, but it starts very badly, with signs of fear and inability to break through. Obviously, Costa Rica was going to fight back. This happens with Manchester City. Everyone fights against City, and Guardiola has to invent ways to break the fight. Brazil should expect this. Costa Rica was going to retrain, park a bus in front of the goal, and we would have to pass. But they didn't worry about that, they didn't think about it. They entered with a moderate selection, without aggression, without the ability to break through Costa Rica's strong defense, and ended 0-0 in the first half, a bad first half. Brazil had 9 shots compared to Costa Rica's 0, but of those 9, only 1 was a great scoring chance. If everything I'm saying ages poorly and Brazil ends up winning the Copa America, it's because what happened today won't happen again. What happened today will become a study to change and not do it again, because today was bad. Let's go to the second half. The second half begins, and Paqueta has a shot that hits the post and, out of spite, doesn't go in. As I said, Paqueta grows in the game, starts to improve. Brazil has other moves, with Paqueta giving a great pass, and he starts to recover. If it was possible to say that someone did well in this game, the best would be between Paqueta and Rodrigo, but neither of them were brilliant. Comment below who you thought was best. We had a shot from Paqueta, a shot that I think was from João Gomez or Arana, which the goalkeeper saved. He had a shot against that almost scored, but it's not a goal. It got to the point where Endrick came on in the 68th minute, which I think should have come on earlier. It would have been better. By the way, now that we're on topic, what was the game's big problem? There were many problems, but what was the main one? The defense had no problem because Costa Rica didn't attack. So, Brazil's defense could have been anyone, and Brazil wouldn't have conceded a goal, but the problem was the attack.
We have Bruno Guimarães, Lucas Paquetá, João Gomes.
I like all three, but I like all three to start with Argentina, with Uruguay. Brazil should have started with more offense. Maybe Rodrigo dropped back as a midfielder. Maybe Bruno Guimarães as a midfielder, or better yet, as a defensive midfielder. But no, he came with 3 guys who have good ball control, but no creativity.
João Gomes, Paquetá, and Bruno Guimarães.
Where is the creativity there? The creativity came from Paqueta, but he is not a playmaker. He is a midfielder who finishes well. We were missing a point guard, a guy who thinks, the famous number 10 that Brazil doesn't have. And if Neymar is returning from injury, where is the creation? At Rodrigo, but he was on the edge, and it was bad to do that. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you just need to know that Brazil played with fear against Costa Rica, and that's horrible. This is bizarre. We cannot go into fear against Costa Rica. Then Brazil came in, lacked a creative midfield, and drew 0-0. Costa Rica almost scored a goal, but Brazil also had some chances. If everything continues as it is, Brazil will have serious problems winning the Copa America. If he wins, it will be a heroic victory. We don't have the best selection. And you, fan? I'm going to ask here, and I want you to comment. Do you agree with the lineups? Do you agree with the selection? What do you think Brazil can do to win? And what is the best way to do this? Was there a lack of more aggression? Yes. Was there a lack of aggression? Missed. Did you lack courage? Yes. Brazil has problems to solve. creating a midfield and having more courage against weak opponents. It has to start like this. If you don't solve this, it will be a problem. Comment here. Tell us what you thought of the lineup, the players, and everything else. Let's debate. I know I'm criticizing a lot, but it's because today was bad. I hope that in the next games it will improve.